Today's best music.
Magic 89.9.
We enter the chat room. My name is Boom. For those of you who are listening on the radio, on the road, or working from home through Magic 89.9, good afternoon to you guys. For those watching us on Facebook Live, on Twitch, and of course through the Kumu app, we welcome you to the show, and we welcome one of my good friends and one of the best storytellers that we have, and one of the best coaches that we have, just one of the best people that we have here in the Philippines. Coach Jimmy Alapag joins us for the chat room. Hello, Coach.
Hey, Boom. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you? I caught you on the road. I hope you're okay. You're obviously not driving, but I hope this is a good time for us to kind of like catch up and chat.
No, absolutely. My as you know, we're expecting. So
yes,
my wife has her doctor's appointment, but because of obviously the new protocols, I'm not allowed inside. So
okay. So that's why you're outside of the hospital right now.
Yes. So I'm just waiting. So
okay.
Yeah, but we're good. We're good.
Thanks for taking time. Appreciate it. We've been in touch the last probably month. I thank you for sending me a message during my birthday, and from then on we were again kind of in touch for a while, and I decided, hey, if you're free, why don't you join me for this show? And I wanted to start with that. How about that? Baby number 4.
Man.
You made the announcement obviously on your YouTube channel, on your vlog. But baby number 4, forgive me, I hope I'm not intruding if I ask, was this planned? Was this a surprise? Was this all, tell us about it, Coach.
No, completely unplanned.
Wow.
But, again, obviously another blessing for our family. And the funny thing is, I swear, man, for all the parents who are listening, you know how our kids can be. And we have 3 already. And our kids, especially my oldest son, Ian, and my daughter, Kiona, they spoke this into existence because, I have 2 boys and I have a girl. And, for some reason, you know how kids are, right? There's no filter. They're brutally, genuinely honest, when they talk to you. And especially my daughter, she kept saying throughout this lockdown, like, Dada, it's not fair. And so I'm asking her, like, Kiona, what do you mean it's not fair? She's like, it's not fair, Dada, here at home. And I said, well, why? And she said, well, because there's you, and there's Kuya, Ian, and there's Kaylin, and it's only me and Mama. So there's 3 boys and there's 2 girls. so I need a baby sister. And for us, we're kind of like, oh, you're okay. You have your baby brother. And she's like, no, I need a baby sister. And it was really consistent from her, and even from Ian. He's like, yeah, Dada, it's not fair. Kiona deserves a sister. And so, again, God blessed us, and we're on another pregnancy journey. Well, I'm not, but my wife LJ is. So
yeah, of course.
But we're thankful.
Yeah. But pregnancy, obviously, we know, and we've said it so many times. I mean, the women, our wives, the women in our lives are super women, but that doesn't take away the fact that you share this pregnancy together. I mean, obviously,
no, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
You don't know how it feels. We would never be able to tell. There was no way we're going to be able to tell how that feels and what they go through. But that doesn't mean you don't experience, all the emotions also, and the highs and lows of the pregnancy, right?
For sure.
And that's crazy. That is crazy. Do you know that? So does that mean you know the gender already? The way you're
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. She's about 7 weeks right now. So we won't know. For a little bit of time. But you can already guess what my kids are praying for. so stay tuned.
Oh, that's awesome. Remember the old show, Kids Say the Darndest Things, right?
I do.
That's exactly what it is, and perfect. You just said it. It's unfiltered, but they speak the truth, don't they?
Yes, all day, every day.
This is quite a journey. I mean, all right, let's obviously, well, for people who don't know, just a couple of years ago, you came out, you and your lovely wife obviously came out with the more detailed story of of Ian, right, coming into
Yes.
your life, and the
Yes.
struggles that you went through a couple of years prior to Ian being a blessing in your life. And then you fast forward to now, when you had the hardships in the first 2 years, and now, a fourth kid. I mean, how good is that?
Yeah. No, Boom, again, God has blessed us for sure. We obviously had our struggles early in our marriage with having kids. I think LJ and I had been married we actually just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary. That's right. That's right.
Thank you. But we were actually about 3.5 years into our marriage, and we still didn't have any kids. And again, for the listeners out there, I come from a big family. I'm the youngest of 6 kids. LJ's the oldest of 6. And so, naturally it wasn't necessarily something where people were doing it, I guess, purposely, but they were asking, like, how come you guys haven't had kids?
Right.
And I was perfectly healthy. She was perfectly healthy, but it just wasn't a part of
families. There can be a little bit of a buildup of pressure because.
Wait, Coach, I think I lost your audio a little bit. Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. I think I lost your audio a little bit. We're talking to Coach Jimmy Alapag right now, joining us and live, obviously, here at the chat room, straight from his car, waiting for LJ. Can I hear you? Let's see if I can. All right. We might be losing Coach Jimmy Alapag right now. Okay, here. All right, Coach. Let's get back to what you were saying. So, you were talking about how people unintentionally, without any bad intentions, were always asking you about having kids and all of that.
Yeah. So and again, coming from big families, that you do feel a little bit of the pressure, right? Anytime I talk to my mom and dad, they're like, "Hey, we have any grandkids yet?" And likewise for LJ. So it was tough. But again, you fast forward and not only have we been blessed with 3 kids, but now with 1 on the way. So we're extremely thankful. We got a full house. There's always excitement in our house every day with our kids, and I couldn't see our life any other.
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah, I lost you just for a second there. Are you back with us, Coach?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go. All right. So, but the pressure is real, right? At least I think a lot of our listeners or viewers who are parents, who are wannabe parents, that's something that everybody experiences, regardless of what stratification you belong to, regardless if you're a celebrity or not.
Sure.
These social pressures about, right? And you guys went through that.
And again, it was all unintentional, but
right.
people are excited. You're newly married, and I think it comes more from an excited perspective.
Yes.
For the respective couple. But again, for us in particular, it just took a little while longer. But it was all in God's timing, and here we are, 10 years into our marriage, and we got number 4 on the way. So.
Beautiful. Wonderful.
So,
it's the best gift.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell us about their personalities separately, like Ian or Kiona, Kellen? I just wanted to dig in a little bit in terms of, because right now, obviously, they're developing into their own,
yes,
right?
For sure,
right now.
For sure.
What kind of personalities do they have, and when you see your kids, do you see yourself in this aspect? You see LJ in this aspect? Can you kind of break that down for us?
Sure.
If you don't mind?
No, not at all. So I think with my son Ian Maximus, he gets a lot of his drive. I think from LJ and I both. The one thing I do not want to do with our kids, and LJ knows this, is that I don't want to pressure them into what I want them or what she wants them to do. I want them to find their own passion and something that they love and enjoy doing. So with Ian, he's been super involved and super active with his Taekwondo.
Right.
And even during this pandemic, as tough as it is for children, not being able to be out, he's been incredibly consistent with his Zoom workouts.
Wow.
With his teacher or instructor. And the kid works, and I love to see it, because not only do I value and appreciate how hard he works, but he enjoys it, and he's very protective of his baby sister and baby brother. But I definitely think, his drive comes from me, as far as just, I tell him all the time, if you do something, you go out there and you do your best. Win or lose, mama and dada and your baby brother and sister, we're going to be proud of you, but you go out there and you do your best. And to see that resonate with him, and, we were working out a little bit last night, and he learned how to jump rope now. And I'm like, man, he turns 8 in 2 weeks, and to see him, just enjoying working out, and, we work out a little bit together. It's awesome. I love it. With my daughter, Kiona, she's very sassy and gets a lot of her personality from LJ. She's very, very strong-willed, but just has such a beautiful soul. Like, she loves her big brother and her little brother so much. And, she loves the camera, which she gets from her mom, not me. But she's, again, she's very comfortable behind the camera, and, we have our family vlog, and she's like kind of branching off and wanting to do her own, not from any pressure from us. She just kind of does it naturally.
I want my own channel, huh?
Yeah. So, but still very athletic. That I'd like to think she gets from me. She's been active also in this lockdown, doing her online dance classes.
Right.
So just staying busy, and one thing that this lockdown has really shown to LJ and I as parents, and I'm sure most parents would agree, is that this lockdown and this pandemic has forced you to be more creative as a parent, because we've just been at home.
Right.
But again, we've really been valuing the extra family time together. And then not technically not our
not anymore.
not anymore, but as of now, for the next 7 months or so. Kalen, my goodness, he, as athletic as Ian and Keon are, he might be the most athletic.
Really?
Yeah, LJ says it all the time. Like, he's only 2, and he's just, the way he walks. I mean, he walks super early, and he just has muscles, and you see like the definition. You see the definition in his legs. And he's just aggressive. Like,
really,
he just has a very aggressive, type of mindset. But again, sweet young kid, loves to dance, loves music, which he gets from LJ and I. So again, man, we're blessed. When we look back to the struggles that we had early in our marriage with having kids, and they all still sleep in the room with us, and it's like we wake up every morning like we have 3 kids here in our room, and about to have number 4. I might be sleeping on the floor by next year. But yeah, man, our kids are great. Our kids are great.
Oh, well, and I love how my favorite thing is when you talk about them, because these are things that you obviously cannot fake. When you talk about them, I see, your passion. I see your love. I see, how excited you are just talking about their personalities, just breaking down their personalities and watching them grow. They must love this whole pandemic thing. Well, not the pandemic per se, but being locked down with the parents right now. They must love this whole situation. Are they aware of what's happening to a certain degree, Coach?
To a certain degree, Boom. I mean, they just kind of keep asking, like, Dada, like, how come we can't go outside? So, we explain to them, and, they're just like, when's the virus going to go away? Because again, they're young, with my son, being 7, turning 8 here in a couple of weeks, Keona's 5, Kaylin's 2, kids at that age, I know for our kids, like they're active, whether it's, going to school, spending time with their friends, doing their
Right, right.
the outside school activities, and to not be able to do that, or even just simply, before pre-COVID, LJ and I both, like, we would separate time where I would take Keon on a date, or I would take the boys out together.
Right.
And they know when they go and have their dates with mama and dad, it's just kind of like, okay, well, we get to do whatever we want, and it's like, whether we go watch a movie, or, Keona loves ice cream, we'll go on our ice cream date, or, the boys and I will go to a time zone,
Mhm.
just stuff like that. And to not be able to do that,
You're
it's been tough.
probably bouncing off the walls at home.
Oh man, hey, every day, every day. But again, at the same time, this, during this lockdown is usually the time of the year where I'm really busy, with coaching, and it's usually around the playoffs. So I'm traveling a lot more. So, as tough as it was initially to not be going through that whole process again, once I took a step back and really realized, like, hey, I feel horrible about losing our season, but on the other side of that,
Of course,
I've gotten all this quality family time, and it's been great. To spend time with my kids. I mean, they're attached to LJ and I's hip all day. But like I said, we love it, man. We're thankful, and we know how blessed we are.
Did you learn anything about yourself? You said it yourself that this is different from your usual routine annually at this time of the year. Did you learn anything about yourself, about your wife, about your family, maybe even your kids, now that you guys have been, tied up, and not tied up, but I mean, spending so much time together all these months? And was anything surprised you about, the family, or even yourself? You found out things about yourself in this pandemic?
Boom. There's definitely a couple of things. I think one, it's allowed LJ and I both to just kind of just take a step back and slow down a bit, because as a coach, the schedule and the time that you need to put forth for the team, whether it's coaches meetings, practice, post practice meetings, watching video late at night. She's running her own her own business. Time moves. Yeah, time moves quick, and then the kids are in school, they have their activities, and it just it seemed like now getting a chance to step back, you see how fast life is moving, and I think with this pandemic and this lockdown, it's forced us to kind of slow down a little bit and value and appreciate the time that we have together as a family. It's given us both time, to really just kind of reflect on how we can be better, be better in our respective careers, how we can be better in our marriage and in our as parents. For me, Boom, the first 5 or 6 weeks, man, of this lockdown, I mean, I know we're 5 months in, but that first month or so was really, really tough for me. And I know
I've been saying that all throughout. Yeah.
I know, again, for everyone tuning in, whether it's, on Facebook or on the radio.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in a pretty bad place the first 5 or 6 weeks.
Really?
Just because, I'm a control freak in the sense that, as far as it pertains to our season, it's like, hey, I want to dedicate all my time, all my energy, all my effort. Win or lose, I can live with the result, right? But the idea of not knowing, that was really tough to get over, because this particular season, we just had a lot of just peaks and valleys through the first 5 months of the season. And it's like we were getting ready for the playoffs, and before we could even take off, it was pulled up, from underneath our feet.
Right.
But, again, this is something that this pandemic has not just affected sports, but it's affected the world.
Right.
But it was just really tough for me to accept. And it just kind of had me in a weird space, because I've never been away from the game this long. And again, just again, I was just in a pretty, bad space, but it allowed LJ and I's communication as a married couple to open up a lot more, because she knew that I was struggling. And, one morning she just kind of asked me, and again, this is about 5 weeks into the lockdown, and she just kind of said, hey, are you okay?
Right.
And it was important for me to hear that because I wasn't, and I hated that. Not only was I, showing that to her, but more importantly for the kids. And that after that, that's when, I feel like, my walk with God has gotten stronger during this lockdown because, a lot of what we're going through right now, man, it requires a lot of faith, and it's allowed me to strengthen that walk. I still have a long way to go, but I'm headed in the direction that I need to for my wife, for my family, and ever since that point, things got better. And I know it's still a difficult time for everyone, but
of course,
I'm confident we'll get through it.
Did your kids see it? Like, did they sense that you got down on yourself and that you were at a low point and that mentally you were really at, as you said, your lowest?
I would like to say they didn't. I tried to not, I don't want to say fake it, but I really tried not to show that side to them. But my wife knew, she knew that I was feeling bad.
They always do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, again, it was so great to hear that from her, just as a reminder for myself that she could see it and that I needed to change and I needed to be better for my family. And so, again, this lockdown has been able, not only given us family time, quality family time, but, I just started trying to find different ways to grow and learn as a coach, doing different webinars.
Correct.
I started reading much more than I was, during the season, just because, you feel like you don't have enough time. So just really kind of tapping in to other things that we may not have had time to do pre-COVID.
Right.
And so, again, it's been, up and down, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but again, I'm keeping the faith, and I know, we'll all get through this.
We're talking to Coach Jimmy Alapag for those who are listening on radio, whether on the road or working from home, and for those watching on Facebook, on Twitch, and on the Kumu app, and of course our replays eventually when we get to have this on YouTube and on Spotify. Good afternoon, Coach Jimmy Alapag joining the chat room. My name is Boom. I like that you mentioned that, Coach, because one, I'm not saying I like that you went through it. My point is some people don't realize, as when you talk about Coach Jimmy Alapag, a lot of people perceive you as kind of like a charmed one. It's been a charmed life. You have to admit that. I mean, I know
sure.
you, right? There's so much to be thankful for.
Yes,
regardless of whether it's your personal life or your professional life or playing career or coaching career. And for you to say something like that, especially in the first month or the first 5 weeks, because we all go through, or we all went through, I guess, different levels of, right? You know what I mean? So for you to say that, our listeners, our viewers, will, I'm sure, relate to the fact that even, somebody as charmed as Coach Jimmy Alapag experiences something like this. The interesting part is your wife kind of, in that moment, you said, snapped you out of it a little bit. That was right. The turning point where you had to say, you got to pick up yourself. I can totally relate on that. Probably on the 5th week also, Coach. It's probably the same for me when my wife did that for me and my friends too. Also, a couple of them, Slick and Tony, who kind of, your friends kind of also, even if they're going through the same thing, they're also, you guys are all picking each other up.
For sure, for sure.
But what about LJ? She was the one who snapped you out of it. But how did she take those first 5 weeks? Was she just super strong? Was she extremely positive? Was she, because that Carla, my wife, right? She was that. There, and unfortunately we're separated physically, but fortunately she's in a better situation where she can be more positive also because of the way they've been able to control everything there in Singapore. But just generally, she is a bubbly, positive person. How was LJ in the first 5 weeks? If you don't mind me
No,
asking, Coach.
no, not at all. Boom. I think LJ and Carla share a lot of the same traits because, naturally she's a very strong-willed person. And here I was, because the game of basketball has had such a huge impact on my life. My whole thing was, man, I can't believe what happened to our season. And again,
right.
it took that time for me to realize, like, hey, listen, there's other things to life than the game of basketball. And not to say that it's okay to feel bad, but there's still other things around. And and there's my wife and there's my kids. And so even though it took me a while to figure that out and take that step back and I guess realize that again, for her, because she's naturally strong-willed, she just went into, okay, well, we'll be fine. We'll get through this. She was extremely positive, keeping the kids busy, during the morning, just so that, because they were doing homeschool, but it was only a few days a week. So, I mean, she just kind of took, what was going on and just kind of ran with it and said, hey, we'll adjust accordingly and navigate our way through it. And so, it didn't surprise me at all that she was the one to say, hey, you all right? Like, listen, we'll be fine. You'll be fine. I'll be fine. Us as a family will be fine.
Right.
But, you got to get up. And because back, like, during those 5 weeks, man, you know how much you and I love to work out.
Yep.
And this is a very small thing, but it's important because when you work out, your energy's better. And
mentally, you're better. Yeah.
Yes. And I think more than the physical, it's the mental part where you just kind of just feel fresh and you could just kind of go about your day in a more positive kind of space. And I wasn't working out at all. Like I had no motivation. And for me, who's worked out, literally my entire
all your life, yeah.
To not have that motivation, it just made me feel worse. And I felt like it just kind of kept bringing me further down. And so once I got past that, I said, okay, shirts started to not fit as they did, 5 weeks before.
There's like a pre-COVID fit and a post-COVID.
So I'm like, okay, the man upstairs was like, hey, got to get back moving. And so, just started working out from home and again, just started being active and trying to find a routine where, I still have my time to grow and learn as a coach, to work out so that I'm just in a better physical and mental state. Right. And then again, just, understanding and valuing the family time that we've had during this lockdown.
Sounds so familiar. Sounds very, very familiar. Everything that you just said there. You tend to, and the opening part of, I guess, crisis in general. Again, I think we have to be forgiven, everybody, because we've never experienced anything like this. There's no peg or template that we know how to approach it. So I think you or anybody else, myself, should be forgiven to it, for going through what we went through in the first few weeks, regardless of whether it's mentally. And sometimes you think about it and you think you're being selfish, there's no more basketball, or you can't work, I lost the network, I'm not, same working. You think about those things, and then you have LJ who puts everything in perspective. The same thing that happened with my wife, who did that for me, puts everything in perspective, and then kind of calm down. But I think you are also allowed to have that. I mean, I guess that's why it's also partnership, right? You're allowed to have that period where, whether it's her or you or me or my wife, that you kind of panic a little bit, and then you're in a different mental state, and then your partner snaps you out of it. It doesn't also help when you see Coach Chappie working out every day, right? Our coach Chappie.
I know, right?
it doesn't help our situation when we see that. But
Boom, I do want to say something to the listeners.
Please.
Too. I hope everybody who's tuned in today, like you said, I think you said it best. Don't feel bad for, feeling bad during this lockdown. because again, whether it's myself or you, it's what makes us all human, right? Like,
Right.
we're nobody's invincible to this pandemic that's affected the entire world. And so, I definitely want to use this time to encourage people, because again, for someone who, I like to consider myself a strong-willed person who handles things, but when this pandemic hit, I was affected as well. And I just want people who are listening to understand that it's okay to go through that, but just you have to pick yourself up, and if you feel like you can't do it by yourself,
Right.
then lean on the people who are closest to you in your life, whether it's you're fortunate like us to have a wife or to have a family, or to have your immediate family, or close friends that you might be able to talk to through online or FaceTime or whatever it might be, to lean on them to help you through this, because it's something that we're all experiencing, and I want people to still be encouraged that we'll get through it, and I know again it's an incredibly difficult time for so many people, but again, I think that's what makes us human, and what makes us who we are, that we'll get through this.
All right, we're talking to Coach Jimmy Alapag right here, halfway through the show here, the chat room. My name is Boom. Coach Jimmy Alapag has always been known to be, well, you said it yourself, strong-willed, positive. You share a lot of positivity with your social media accounts. You've always been considered as a nice guy overall. I have a quick story. I'll let you rest for a second, Coach. There was a show that I was supposed to do, and this is a couple of years ago during the whole the shot thing for Gilas. I'm sure everybody remembers that, right? So I was supposed to do a show, and then off the air they were saying, "Okay, we got to share all the guests. We got to share a Jimmy Alapag moment." And you and I have shared a lot of moments, thanking, of course, our Nike family, and we've done a lot of things together. And I've heard you tell a lot of stories also. So the producer would say, everybody's got to share a Jimmy Alapag moment. And I said, but my best Jimmy Alapag moment has nothing to do with sports. and you might be weirded out that you're hearing this. I don't know.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay. So let me tell the story. I'll tell you the story real quick. So this was a couple of years back, maybe 3 years back. I'm not sure. We bumped into each other. This is my Jimmy Alapag nice guy story. You were with your beautiful wife, of course, LJ, who I've known for a while also. And I think I was with one of our friends, Brent Javier, right? So I think we were together, and we bumped into each other in a store. You visited the store, and it was Valentine's. I think you guys were out for Valentine's.
Okay.
And we were in the mall. So we see each other, and you're like, okay, so we shake hands and all that. Say, how are you, brother? And then the first thing you say, obviously, was, how's Carla? It's Valentine's. Are you separated right now? She's in Singapore, and it's Valentine's Day. And it was a time that me and Carla were not together.
I remember this. I remember this.
So because we were separated for a few months, for around 8 months. And LJ sees or hears what I say, and I say it. I didn't call you out or anything. I just, Coach, we're not together anymore. But thank you. I hope you guys are having fun today. LJ smacks you right in the shoulder a couple of times. He's like, "What? You shouldn't have asked that. You should have said that." And I go to LJ, no, it's okay. He wouldn't have not been able to, tell, or he doesn't know whether, he's not up to date with my personal life, so that's fine. No, but that's insensitive. Like, LJ's going like that. So funny. And then
I remember this.
Right?
I remember
we were
this.
inside the store, and then we diffused the whole thing. You were flush. You were so red, super apologetic, to the degree that a few hours later, you still messaged me and still apologized to me. And I'm like, man, this guy's too nice. This guy is so good. He's so nice. And I said, don't worry about it. It's fine. There's no way you would know that. But yeah, I guess my point is, have you always been like this, Coach? I mean, I've known you to be like this since day one, but And I know now you remember the story and it's all gone, but uh, growing up, were you always a nice boy? Did you go through like a naughty stage when you were a boy? Did you do, some little kid bad stuff also when you were a boy growing up?
Well, before I tell you that, I'm just glad that story had a very happy ending because you guys are married, happily married, and
Thank you, Coach.
but I do remember that. I mean,
It's so funny.
but honestly, Boom, like what you're talking about, I absolutely 150% get it from my dad. Because ever since that I was young, and I tell this to my kids, to all three of them. My dad, with us growing up, the big family that we had, me being the youngest of six, he was so big on respect and treating people well.
Right.
I can't tell you, he's told me a million times in my life, hey, my son, make sure that you're good to people. Make sure you're respectful to people so that they respect you. And I'll tell you, I'm 42, I'll be 43 in December. And that is a message that I hold on to and have held on to my entire life, because I see it. I see it with my dad. He's the type of person where if he meets you for 5 minutes and you ask for the shirt off his back, he'll give it to you. Like, and even when I was younger, my friends would come over to the house. First thing my dad does is, hey, what do you guys want to eat? And he'd, if we didn't have any food at the house, he would try to order food for them. And he was just always trying to do stuff for people. And I think that comes from his upbringing because it wasn't like that for him. And he wanted to kind of change that narrative for our family. And so that was a message that, that I hold close to my heart because even till now, my dad just turned 82 in June and, he hasn't been to the Philippines in a couple of years now because he's older and it's a little bit more difficult for him to travel. But anytime he comes back, man, it's amazing. Like I would see him after a game and my dad's introducing me to like 20 people. I'm like, Pop, who are all these people? Oh, I met this person at this, at Starbucks and I met them at the game. They were sitting behind me and this family was sitting in front of me and I was telling them that you're my son. And, he just has that connection with people. And I know I get it from him. And, and I think it's important, I know, like you said, how blessed I've been in my life, and I wouldn't have had the success that I've had, on and off the court without a strong foundation of people, a great supportive family, very close friends, who are just there, who are there to support you. And that's something that I've always tried to do myself.
You're probably going to do the same anyway for Ian, Kiona, and Kaylin. You're going to be saying the same stuff. You're going to be, introducing them to everybody like now, right?
I know.
That's
for sure.
Does the leadership quality also come from your father? Those qualities that you've developed all these years, the storytelling capabilities that you have as a person, the motivational qualities that you also have. Was that from your father or was that from like earlier coaches that you had in high schools? Because I know you also had some struggles in high school about, playing time or just playing in general, your size and all of these things. Where did you get those other qualities, or is it also from your father?
Well, Boom, I'm lucky because, growing up, and a lot of kids nowadays aren't fortunate enough to grow up in a two-parent home. Right. I was one of the lucky ones. And so, a lot of my leadership, is, when I look at my dad's work ethic and I look at, his connection to people and how much he really cares about everybody. It's something that I'm proud to see that's the type of man that my dad is. But my mom, she's a very strong-willed person too, and I think that's where her and LJ are so much alike because, during struggles in my life, rather than being the mom where, again, she showered me with love just like she did with all my siblings. But any difficult times that I had in my life, my mom would always be the one to say, well, you work harder and you show them.
Right.
You show them what you're doing. And again, this is from back in high school when, I was, a freshman in high school on the varsity team and not playing. I would go home and be miserable.
You wanted to give up, right? You wanted to give up at one point, right?
At one point in my second year of high school, I was done, because I was a kid coming early, staying late, doing everything that you're supposed to, but I wasn't playing.
Right.
I was the kid that when you're up 20, you're down 20, the crowd's like, put Jimmy in the game. and hey, again, to all the listeners out there, we've all been in high school at a time at one point of our life. And, high school status is important. And as cool as it was and as exciting as it was to be the only kid, in a high school with like 6,000 students on the varsity team, that's pretty cool. But then once the season starts and I'm not playing, it's not as exciting, it's not as cool anymore. It becomes embarrassing. And, when I would go home and I wanted to quit and I'd feel so bad going home, as much as my mom showed love to me, she was always the first one to say, well, then you better just work harder and you show them that you deserve to play. And so.
All right, Coach, I think I lost you again. Coach, hang on. I think I lost your audio. Sorry, Coach.
I'm here. You there?
Oh, there you go. There.
Okay.
Got you back. Okay, yeah. So you're saying your mom,
yeah. So as much as she showered me and the rest of my siblings with love, I mean, she was also very strong-willed. Then you go out there and you work harder.
Right.
Quitting was not an option for her or my dad.
Right.
And so a lot of my foundation for my work ethic and just making things work comes from them and my siblings as well. So I'm again at the age that I am now and been away from the game now for 4 years. I look back on what they taught me and being able to grow up in that type of household and how important it was.
Two things. First is at least people still clamored for you to be put into the game regardless of whether because people like me, they didn't care whether I was on the bench or not, didn't even notice whether I was on the bench or not. So you're still a good coach. And second is I think that story underscores the importance or the significance and the value of delayed gratification, and sometimes we perceive that we're doing enough. Sometimes we perceive we're working hard enough. And then you have somebody like your mom or your coach or whoever who tells you, no, it's still not enough. Obviously, it's still not enough. And it's not to put you down, but it's because sometimes we have a different view of ourselves, obviously, right? We have a different view of
for sure
how we do things. And we think we're doing enough already without really, being objective and examining and being really, really introspective of whether we are doing enough. Are we being good enough? Are we being nice enough? Are we, these things. I think that's what I'm trying to point out. And that's why they're parents, right? They're wiser and they tell you that
yeah, absolutely. I agree. Absolutely.
You're despite all of these things that we've talked about, and despite you being in the limelight since day one, since you came to the Philippines, because obviously even as a rookie, like I said, it's been a charmed life. I know you went through some struggles early on because you didn't have family here. You weren't familiar with anybody. You lived with our good buddy Harvey Carey for a while, just dealing with each other, because that's how you guys dealt with the loneliness and not having a family. But despite that, your rookie year was still extremely solid. You won Rookie of the Year. You won you did win a championship in your rookie year.
Yes.
You made the mythical team. So no complaints in that department. It has been, as I said, a pretty charmed life. So since then, you've been under the spotlight or in the spotlight all throughout until now. You're retired. You're coaching, and now your YouTube channel and all that with your beautiful family. But the question I wanted to ask is, how do you balance, though, Coach? And this is really a sincere question, not necessarily just for me, but for everybody watching and listening. How do you balance protecting your personal life and your private life, and exposing a lot of it out there also through your social media platforms?
Boom, that's a great question. But I think the biggest key is balance. And because I was fortunate enough to live out a childhood dream to play professionally, and not just play professional basketball anywhere in the world, but here at home. I think that was an absolute game changer, especially for someone like me who didn't grow up in the Philippines. It really provided, a foundation and an opportunity for me to really learn more about where I come from and who I am as a person. And I feel like being here has really allowed me to grow up, not just as an athlete, but I think more so just as a human being, as a man. Because, again, the transition early on was tough, but it allowed me to kind of get out of that box, I guess, that I'd been in, because I went to high school 10 minutes from home. I went to college 20 minutes from home, and then having to travel from California to Manila, it kind of forced me to kind of spread my wings and, hey, fly or crash. And, again, because of the foundation of support that I had from home and, coaches and mentors and friends, I'm so thankful looking back now at
Right.
how it all played out. But again, going back to what I was saying, I think it's just balance. And
do you have conversations with LJ? Do you sit down and say, okay, this one we're not sharing, this one let's talk about on our channel, this one let's, do you guys have like conversations about the things that you want to share and don't want to share?
No, for us, Boom, that's, when it was actually LJ's idea to do the vlog. And honestly, I was a little...
Really? I thought it was yours all along, Coach.
And it took me a while to kind of warm up to the idea, but
I bet.
She said, hey, this is a chance for people to just see us as a family, and not just see you as the basketball player, but see you as a person, see you as
humanize you.
Absolutely. To see you as the dad and all the crazy stuff that the kids make us do. And I said, well, I think we, in a way we owe that to the people who've supported us, and have supported both of us. But I know, especially for me, because I didn't grow up here,
right.
but yet I've been here, almost 20 years. And so, we started the channel, and it's been cool, and honestly, Boom, the best part about it is just, the feedback that we've been getting, because it's allowed us to connect to not just, fans and supporters here in the Philippines, but also all of our Kababayans who are abroad. And there's so many, right? Especially for my time with Gilas, I mean, it didn't matter where we traveled.
Correct.
And the love and the support from
home court. It was always home court.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to be able to connect with them and share with them a little piece of our family, and it's us, like what you see on the vlog. I mean, it's not like, oh, did they, was that like set up? I mean, it's our family. And that's what I've grown since we've had the channel, to appreciate that what people see is us, it's, I mean, me waking up in the morning and, and with the kids and just
working out with Ian.
Yeah. I mean, whatever the case may be, having meals together, or,
right.
Just the crazy stuff that the kids want us to do, at home. So
are you comfortable with it now already? Have you like, the having the camera on you technically?
Okay, I'm not gonna say comfortable, but I'll say I've gotten a lot better. I will admit that. And so it's cool, and the kids enjoy it. But I think again, Boom, that's probably the biggest thing is just to balance it. Balance. Right. Our life and our hectic schedule, even during this pandemic, working from home,
right.
but still making sure that we spend time with the kids and making sure that's quality time. And again, what people see in the blog is our family, and I hope that's what they feel when they watch us. That it's not like, oh, we'll include that. No, I don't want to include that. It's us. It's
okay.
us.
Well, you better look out, because I think Kiona, when she gets her own channel,
Oh man, I'm telling you,
you're done.
I'm bracing myself for that as we speak.
You're done. It's a done deal. We're talking to Coach Jimmy Alapag here, listening through Magic 89.9, and for those watching on Facebook Live, and of course on the Kumu app and on Twitch. We got a few more minutes with the four-time father now, Coach
Yes,
Jimmy
sir.
Alapag. Hey, what's the craziest internet rumor that you've read about yourself? I just randomly thought.
Oh man,
Were there
craziest
like
internet
this is-
rumor?
like you read this and it's like, this is just stupid. I don't know.
Okay, I mean, I don't know. This just comes to mind when you say
Right.
that. Like,
Go.
I remember I read something like, this was, I don't even remember like what point of my career this was, but I read something on the internet, and again, I don't even know. This just pops into my mind, but
Right.
somebody wrote like, oh, this point guard in the Philippines, he plays in the national team, and he's only 5'3". I'm like, hey, I'm like, come on, man. Like, I get it. Like, I don't blow you away with my height or my size, but come on, and that,
Maybe he wasn't talking about you, Coach. Come on.
No, because I do remember it was something like, oh, Jimmy Alapag,
Okay. He named
doing well
you.
in the PBA.
Right.
I couldn't even tell you, but it was like, he's doing well in the PBA, and he's playing for the national team, and he's doing all this at 5'3". And it's like, all right, nothing against anybody who's 5'3", but I'm a little taller than that. Like,
Come on, man.
but
Okay, that's funny.
I mean, that's, I've been pretty fortunate. There hasn't really been anything too crazy,
Right.
about me on the internet. At least, knock on wood.
Yeah, in the NBA, they add like a couple of inches. Well, here all of a sudden they bring
Man,
it
they
down.
cut me. They cut me by like 6 inches. He could have said I was. He
What's
could
going on?
have said I was 6 foot.
Yeah, I know.
6'1".
What's going on? Yeah. Okay.
He went the other way.
Okay. Yes, you have been fortunate in terms of that. But if that's the story that pops into your head, that's not bad at all. That's okay. You're good. You're fine. Have you ever gotten into a fight, a fisticuff, outside of basketball? I mean, outside of like playing or whatever, because obviously there are emotions involved in that. But have you ever? Did you ever get into?
No, you know what? I
Wow.
honestly think I think I got into a fight when I was like in 3rd grade.
Okay. Wow.
Some kid was trying to give me a hard time, and I just defended myself, and then we got in trouble and had to go to the principal's office, and
That's it? That's it.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, no, I mean, again, man, I've been really fortunate.
Good.
I've had a lot of great people in my life. Not just my family, but my close circle of friends, and I felt like if there were ever times, even like when I was in high school,
Right.
I was always the kid that one of my friends would stand up and be like, no, well,
Okay.
if you have an issue with Jimmy, then it's an issue with us,
Right.
kind of thing. And so,
Right.
yeah, again, I've been really fortunate in that aspect of not really getting into fights.
I don't think I have also, but it's a completely different reason. I run away right away. And I see something. Okay, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. I'm running away from
that's
this.
an option too. That's an option too.
Well, I think I'm smart. That's all it is. I just I'm gonna get away. I'm running away as far as I can from that. Okay, couple of questions, Coach, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There are rumors about a PBA bubble. Your thoughts on that? On them thinking about it and how it can be pulled off. Obviously, there are a couple of sporting events that have been successful in terms of a bubble. The UFC has been very successful from the very
Yep.
start. They're the first
Yes.
ones who came up with their own little bubble and an island and the apex. And then, of course, now we've seen it in the NBA, and almost every week they test, and it's all zero positives and all that. What are your thoughts on us locally doing it here? Is it too risky? Is it or do you know enough about it to make a sound judgment?
Again, Boom, it's obviously at the end of the day gonna come down to the PBA and Commissioner Willie and the board to decide what the league will do. But for someone who played in the league for so long, I'm hopeful for the guys, because I know how much us as Filipinos, whether it's the guys in the PBA or the fans, like there's such a love and passion for the game here. So I'm incredibly hopeful for the guys that they'll get a chance to play. But at the same time, it is going to be tough because you look at what's happening within the country, and that the viruses are still relatively high. So I think that does pose a lot of challenges for the PBA. But I think the fact that they are at least considering the bubble, I think it's a step in a positive direction, because again, the NBA specifically, they've kind of set the bar as far as this is something that could work considering the times that we're in. But I do think one of the challenges the PBA has is, there's no Disney World facility,
Correct.
That could house the PBA players like it does the NBA guys in Orlando. So
not that we know of anyway.
Yeah, at least not that we know of. So I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges, because if they can find a space that can accommodate everyone, then I think there's a chance. And so, I'm hopeful. We all missed the game. And I hope for the players and the coaches especially that they get a chance to at least get a little bit of the game back for the league and of course for all the fans.
Because there are a couple of teams already, like in their practice facilities, right?
Yes.
Training that have been approved by the IATF. Excuse me. We're about to say goodbye to Coach Jimmy Alapag. He's got better things to do than to reminisce.
No, man. No, man. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
It's a perfect time, actually. A perfect time to have you, Coach. There are rumors, there are articles circulating about the I guess the operative word would be contemplating on leaving the Philippines. That was the article that came out, or a couple of articles that came out. How do you want to address this, and what do you want to say to these things? Because you've already addressed the 5-3 internet rumor, so let's go to the other rumor that's circulating about you leaving the country.
Well, it's funny, Boom, because I haven't spoken to anyone.
Right.
So I was a little surprised when the article came out. But for everyone who's curious about what they read, if you look at the times that we're in, with so much uncertainty, whether it's in sports and just in general,
life, right.
In life in general, it's something that LJ and I have talked about, and we have explored the idea of moving our family to the States, at least for the time being. One, to be close to the family, because like I mentioned earlier, my dad just turned 82.
82, correct.
And with this COVID thing around, and the significant impact that it has on the elderly, it really prevents my parents from flying, especially on a long flight from the U.S. to Manila anytime soon.
Right.
So to be closer to them is a priority for me especially. And at the same time, also exploring possible work opportunities, coaching opportunities, whether it's in the G League or the NBA. So as of now, we're exploring it. Haven't decided yet with any finality as far as what we'll do, but I think with what we're going through and what we're experiencing, for somebody who has a family, who has a wife and kids, it's something that you have to explore. And that's what we've been doing. I have been in contact with different, networks that I made from last summer in the summer league. So we'll see. But I feel like either way, I've been here for almost 20 years and my heart is here. And, no matter what happens, if we go, we stay, a piece of my heart's always here. So, we'll see. We'll see in the coming weeks or months.
It's always it's always great to have options, right? To have options
Absolutely.
is always great. Just to touch on that one last time, the whole NBA thing, you talked about G League, you talked about Summer League. Boy, that bug must have, that when it bit you, that must have felt good. I mean, you must be feeling the effects still of being exposed to that opportunity, that culture, the way they do things, and everything about it. It must be like a drug. If you ever, I guess, have any addiction to something, that must be something you can relate to when it comes to that whole NBA experience. Am I wrong by saying that, Coach?
No, you're 110% spot on. Every second, every minute, every day that I was with Sacramento last summer was a dream come true. I mean, it was an incredible experience from my first day with them till my last day when we lost our last game in Vegas.
You played 5 games, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then they also had the California Classic in Sacramento where we had another 3 games. And just from my experience there, they didn't treat me as a guest coach or a coach from the Philippines. They treated me like I was a part of their family. And to go into that experience, not knowing what the heck to expect, me simply reaching out to, their former GM, Vladimir, and him, replying right away saying, sure, why don't you come join us for Summer League? It'll be a great experience. I mean, I literally almost dropped my phone when I saw his message pop up that it was from him. And so, just meeting, so many great people within their organization and really feeling a part of what they do. It was everything and more than what I could have expected. And extremely grateful for the chance to be with them last summer.
Well, to a certain degree, I would like to say that I guess I can relate and to a certain extent that it's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that people don't get to see, don't get to hear, don't get to read about. That really means a lot. I'm sure that's what really becomes very addictive. The conversations that you have with whether it's a coach, player, or anybody in the organization. Like I say that to a certain degree, like I said, from a production side, when we used to cover the NBA, I mean, it's great to be able to cover it and to obviously meet the athletes and to be able to do it on TV. But the other stuff, the production stuff, the meetings and chatting with people from different networks, from different countries and finding out, how they do things, all the things that don't come out on social media. That to me was the addicting part. And I suppose your personal conversations, the dinners or lunches and all right?
Amazing. So I'll share a quick story with you. I know we're getting to the end.
No, go, please.
Story with you.
Go until midnight if you want.
So our first team practice, I got there a day early, got a chance to meet everyone. Some of the guys were already at the facility working out, but the guys who were going to be on their Summer League team were arriving later that evening. So I was there a day early. The next morning, they say, hey, there's going to be a coaches meeting at 8:00. So they're early. I'm there with a former Sacramento player, and he's one of their assistants, Bobby Jackson. So him and I are sitting there, and we're just talking, and all the coaches come in. Everyone on the Sacramento Kings coaching staff. And who walks in last? Luke Walton.
Wow.
And this is like, month and a half, after he got the job. And so he walks in and, introduces himself to all of us and, for all the guest coaches and shakes our hand. He's like, well,
Right.
hey, welcome. And we're in a coaches meeting. And we're talking about the summer league and talking about everything from preparation, practice schedule, the guys we have coming in, who's
Right.
playing, who's not. I mean, and just to be there, you know, I literally had to take just like 5 seconds to be like, I'm sitting here in
Right.
a coaches meeting with an NBA staff, and again, it was just amazing, and you know, really, really thankful for all my time that I had with them.
You probably felt like you were a 10-year-old, right? Like you just,
Oh yeah,
Right?
every day,
right?
every
Yeah.
day.
That's amazing. That's an amazing, and I'm sure there are a bunch of those stories that you have from that experience. And again, you're one of the best storytellers out there. When you tell these stories, I somehow feel I'm in there. I'm like, I'm digging in with you. So I appreciate that talent of yours, Coach
you.
Jimmy
Thank you,
Alapag. And again, congratulations on the biggest news, of course, the baby coming your way. And
Thank you.
are you
I
the type?
appreciate that.
You're very welcome. Are you the type who are you gonna announce the gender? Are you gonna what's the deal with this fourth one? Are you gonna change it up?
No, I mean, I'm sure we'll announce.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And you know, now that we're going on number 4, like I'm hoping that I'm much better in the delivery room, because that hasn't been the case. I almost passed out, you know, when Kiona was born. So I'm hoping this time around I'm a little bit better. But yeah, we're excited, man. You know, we'll probably know the gender here in the next probably, I think, month or two. So
Right.
yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
As your mother would say, well, work harder, Jimmy. Be better.
I know. I need to be.
Kobe would say, be better, right? There you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Congratulations on the baby. Congratulations on everything that has happened to you. Also, whatever it is that you decide, Coach, hey, we're with you. We know you're doing whatever it is because that's the best for the family more than anything else. And, please send our regards to your father and your whole family in the U.S. I think I want to end this conversation, this chat with you, Coach, by saying, and this is a cliche, but I'll say this, that you are the classic example or the personification of good things happen to good people. It's as simple as that.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Stay healthy, Coach. I'll talk to you again soon, hopefully in person next time. We appreciate your time. I mean, you were in your car the whole time.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Having me.
And I know
we'll soon.
Yeah, I know you're a Maxwell fan, so I'm gonna hit you up with a Maxwell song to say goodbye. Man. You got it?
Oh, perfect.
All right. Take care, Coach.
Brother. All right, you too. Stay safe.
All right. Thank you very much, guys. That is the chat room this week here on Magic 89.9.